Hi everybody, it's Coach Troy here. It is beautiful, sunny morning here in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I want to thank you guys for joining me, whoever is joining me today, or taking a look at my first ever Periscope. I gotta be honest with you, a little nervous, but today I was thinking over this week that what I was going to talk about here in my first ever live stream, and a friend of mine had asked me a question as we were chatting, and she says, Troy, it would be really awesome if one day would you do something on how to keep your business in line, how to keep your business on track when life gets in the way, because we were having a discussion about how life was getting in the way of her business, and she thought that would be a really cool topic. And I said, well, maybe I'll just make that my first topic for my first ever Periscope, and here we are. So I greatly appreciate you guys taking a few minutes to take a look at this. I put together just a couple thoughts that I'm going to share with you about how to keep your business on track when life gets in the way. And for those of you that are watching that I don't know, my name's Troy Henson. I am a business coach. You can find me at my website is www.evoc excellence.com. And I've been coaching business owners for about 16 years, and I run into a lot of things that people are dealing with on a regular basis. And it's really interesting because a lot of times I'll see that what one person is dealing with, I have a conversation, let's say on a Monday, and then I tend to run into that same thing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at various other conversations. So I think it's interesting to know that, especially for you guys that are entrepreneurs, that you're not alone. There's a lot of people going through the same things you are, and there are people like me around that can help you get through those challenges, those problems, those strategic conversations, whatever you're dealing with, a whole lot faster, whatever it is. So let's talk a little bit about this on how to keep your business on track when life gets in the way. I'm going to take, I think, about 20 minutes with this, and hopefully give you some nuggets that you can take away, that you can put into your life and your business today. And that's what I want, as I want you to be able to use the stuff that I give you and be able to make it applicable so that it's not just too confusing or too conceptual. But I do want to give you, I think, a few steps here that I thought of that will make a difference if you are starting to feel that overwhelm and if life is taking over. And it does quite often take over. I think, in 16 years, I've coached people through all kinds of stuff, from the good stuff of falling in love and planning marriages and getting married and having babies. I mean, that's life that gets in the way, and that I've seen, and it's very disruptive to business. I've also seen stuff on the negative side. I've had clients that have, I've had clients that pass away. That's not good for the business, but more disruptive for the owner is when their family members pass away, or I even had a client who was going to let go of an employee that just wasn't the right fit for their company, and they'd been really working on how to let this person go, and they finally got to the point where it was the day, and that's always a huge challenge, is letting go of people, especially if you've had them around for a while. I just see that as a way bigger challenge than I ever expected going into business. But in this particular instance, they had somebody, they're finally going to let him go. It was time, and they're ready to have the conversation that day, only to find out that the gal that worked for him's mother had passed away the night before. And so, when you're trying to run a business and you've got somebody that's not a good fit, and even that is life getting in the way. It's somebody else's life getting in the way of your business. So there's all kinds of things that can happen. I went through this a lot through the recession, where people were losing their businesses, they were losing their homes, and then because of that, it was causing a big a rub at home, where husbands and wives were arguing a lot because of the stress, and that was then impacting the business and what they could do. So life has a funny way of getting in the way, and I do spend a lot of time. Sometimes clients refer to me as their business therapist, as their business counselor, even marriage counselor, because the reality is we've got to deal with that stuff, and we have to learn the strategies for it. So I got a few ideas here I'm going to share with you how to deal with keeping your business on track when things are getting in the way. And I think of this a lot like, and this is going to seem like a random reference, I think, but it's a lot like your New Year's resolutions. Okay, and I know it's March, and for most people, it sounds a little weird to be thinking about New Year's resolutions in March, because it was so long ago that we just made our New Year's resolution. I know, a whole 8 weeks. But the thing that happens with resolutions, I think, is very similar to when life happens. So the New Year's resolution typical kind of process is we set these resolutions, and then I don't know, a week, maybe 2 weeks later, we forget about them and we stop dealing with them and we stop doing anything about them. And now 8 weeks later, it seems weird that someone would even bring them up. And what I call this is a breakdown. Okay, this is a breakdown in a commitment. It's when I make a commitment to something and then something gets in the way. Something else comes in and gets in the way and displaces my commitment. It either causes me to lose commitment, forget about commitment, or just not even think about it altogether. And the reason why I like to make this parallel is because when life is getting in the way, it is the exact same thing as losing commitment to a New Year's resolution. And I want you to think about it like that, because a lot of times people will think about life getting in the way as this big situation that I have to deal with this situation. Well, it is. But when we get down to the root and to the core of it, it is all about a breakdown in the commitment that we have towards our goal. And anything could cause a breakdown. It could be that your house burned down last night. It could be that you got sick last week and, maybe you've had pneumonia for a month, or maybe your kid got sick, or your car broke down, or, whatever it is. Anything external, anything outside of us can cause a breakdown. And I want to give you these strategies that will help you to address that breakdown, because that's the situation. It's not so much that life is getting in the way. It's just the fact that a breakdown has occurred. And it occurs just like there's a breakdown in your New Year's resolution. Okay, so in general, I think the first thing that we have to understand is when a breakdown occurs, just like setting up your New Year's resolutions, most people fail at those resolutions because the environment that they have, their whole life structure is not in support of making that change. Okay, and when your life is not in support of making a change, that's what I call your environmental disconnect. You cannot outperform your environment. You can only do things that are consistent with the environment that you've set up for yourself. So, for example, I'm in my office here right now, and this is my environment. I can do a live streaming Periscope. I can meet with people. I can do computer work. I can do office type things. I can't, because the environment doesn't support it, I can't fly a kite. I can't play golf. I can't play around a tennis. The environment doesn't support that. So when we try to do things that are outside of the environment that we've set up for ourselves, there's going to be a breakdown. Okay? So that's the first thing that I think is worth understanding. If you've got some sort of breakdown going on, that means your environment is no longer in support of the goal that you're working on. So we have to go in and fix, change, make a transformation within that environment first and foremost. Okay? And I understand that sometimes we get caught in those extenuating circumstances and it totally takes you out of a rhythm. But if we can go back and go, okay, I need to reset my environment. I need to make sure that I've got the people and the resources, the time, the energy, the money to make the changes that I want to make. So here's the next piece that I want you to think about when it comes to addressing the breakdowns in life, or when life gets in the way, is I think it's crucial to not be in denial about it. I call it facing the brutal truth. So I was talking with a client yesterday who was sharing about her experiences over the past year, and she was saying how the past year wasn't all that great, wasn't very successful, and it wasn't very successful because she had a lot of, basically I called it a shitstorm. She had multiple deaths in her environment that happened. She had family deaths, friends deaths, a lot of kind of stuff just happened last year. And I could sense her guilt, and I could sense her kind of sadness about not performing the way that she thought she was supposed to. She kind of thought, I'm supposed to just roll with this. I'm supposed to work through it. I'm supposed to be tough. Well, the reality is we have to face the truth. We can't be in denial. When things are happening to us that are disrupting the environment that we need to be successful, we have to roll with that. And we have to stay in the truth, and we have to deal with what it is that is going on. The second piece with that is I think we also have to forgive ourselves. So this, I could notice in my client that I was chatting with, I could tell that she was feeling bad. She was feeling guilty about it. And I just said, hey, I think it's perfectly okay that you had less than a stellar performance year last year. You had a lot of things going on. And just so you know, being your business coach, I think it's okay. I think it's fine. I totally forgive you. I would love it if you would forgive you. If you would And she just kind of breathed a sigh of relief and thought, yeah, gosh, you're right. I can take some of the pressure off of myself. And I always like to think about this. I think I'm getting a big sunlight coming in. I always think about this. My grandfather, he always had some great words of wisdom. And one of the things that he would say that I remember, and my mom would remind me of this, and it was just such a clever saying, but he was a rancher. And the saying that I remember is, you have to ride the horse the way that it's going. It's such a simple statement, word of wisdom, nugget of wisdom, but it's so huge. You have to ride the horse the way it's going. Sometimes if life isn't going your direction, it's harder to resist it. And sometimes we need to take a break. We need to give ourselves permission to rest. We need to give ourselves permission to deal with what is going on. It's easier to roll with the punches, to ride your horse the way that it's going, than it is to resist what's going on. And so with that, I think another key element to this is to talk to your coach. This is one of the biggest benefits to having a coach in your corner, is to have somebody that you can turn to help you set up an appropriate strategy for what you're dealing with. And sometimes the appropriate strategy, I remember when I was playing high school basketball, and my coach, I hated this, but it happened because that's part of the game, is my coach I'd be in the game, I'd make a couple baskets, I'd have played, a few minutes, and then he pulls me out. He sits me on the bench. And I'm thinking, why are you pulling me out? I'm doing good. And the thought was, rest, relax, take a breather. You can come back in a second. I need you to come back fresh. And I'm going to need you at the 2-minute mark to go in and hustle and do certain things. So I want you to be ready for that. The coach tends to have a bigger picture, that outside perspective. So if you are facing with something that is getting in the way of your business, and it's that outside stuff, go talk to your coach. And sometimes, I love doing this. It's one of my favorite things that gives people kind of that sigh of relief, is when I give them a permission to rest. I've got a particular client she just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes and goes, and then she starts getting wound pretty tight, starts feeling tired, and a number of times I've said, hey, just take the day off, get out of here. Your business is not going to die by taking a break. And every time she just gets this sigh of relief, like, oh my God, you're right. I can take a break. I don't have to keep grinding through this. You see, when your environment shifts, when things happen, you need to shift your strategy. So sometimes we need that coach, someone like me that knows what you're doing, that knows what's going on, that knows how you work, that knows that, hey, if I give you a break now, I can get you back in the game in 24 hours or in 48 hours and have you performing at a whole nother level. Right? So first couple thoughts, right? You've got to focus on your environment. You've got to face the truth, not be in denial. You forgive yourself for not being as productive as you think you should be. Okay, shooting on yourself is never a good idea. Ride the horse the way that it's going. Thanks to my grandfather for that word of wisdom. And talk to your coach, right? So that you can strategize, get a really good strategy of how to deal with what's going on now versus what you want to go on. Okay, so those are the first kind of 4 or 5 ideas. The next one that I think is crucial, I love this, is just a mental concept of just saying, all right, I'm going to begin again. I'm going to declare, I'm starting over. And yes, you can start over multiple times a day. You can start over multiple times a week. You can start over multiple times in a project. By declaring, I'm going to begin again, I'm going to start over right now, it's not like you're starting from scratch. It's not like you're canceling everything that you've ever done. It's just hitting a reset button. It's kind of like turning your computer or your phone off and on again, and it gives you that reset. You can start over. So you declare it. I'm starting over. I'm going to restart this day. And trust me, I've done this a number of times where I wake up and I'm just not being productive. I'm not feeling great. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to start this day all over. And it might be 9 a.m. in the morning, or it could be 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But you can always begin again. I think that is a fantastic mental strategy to reset yourself. And then when you do begin again, I think the first step to take is to go straight to your goals. Review your goals, review your vision, review those targets that you laid out for yourself. I found this way early on that A, the most valuable element of setting goals is so that you don't forget what you said you wanted to do. And B, the biggest mistake or the biggest failure point that I see in anybody in achieving the success that they want, whether it's their business growth goals, whether it's New Year's resolutions, whatever it is that we forget about it. It disappears. So that's the problem with New Year's resolutions. For example, and since we're so close to the beginning of the year, and it's only been 8 weeks, but most people are already done. If I was to bring that up, which I did, some people are like, "Why are you talking about that now? It's March." But the reason is, frankly, we should talk about New Year's resolutions all year long, so that they don't disappear, because that's what happens. That's why people fail with them, is they set this resolution, and then 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, they've just forgotten about it. It's disappeared. It's not a part of their life. So if you want to get yourself recentered after something that's going on isn't working, begin again, and then go straight to your goals and your vision and your mission and your values for your company, what you're doing, why you're doing it. Get that really clear. Post it. Put it in front of you. Tell somebody about it. This is what I call keeping your eye on the ball. I've played a lot of sports. I've played tennis. I've played golf. I've played basketball. Anything, baseball, anything with a ball. The one thing that I learned since I was 5 years old is watch the ball. Watch the ball. Keep your eye on the ball. It's chanted over and over. I think we can chant that in business too. Watch the ball. Keep your eye on the ball. Obviously, there's no ball. It's kind of a proverbial ball. That ball at this point is your goals. It's your vision. It's what you're going after. So you have to keep your eye on the ball. You can't lose sight of that. Okay? And keep it really clear. I always, to support that, I suggest making a scorecard and keeping score. So in any game, whether it's basketball or whatever, there's always a score. There's always a goal that we're after. And keeping a score allows us to, A, track our performance, and B, keep us on track to know how well we've done. A lot of times, entrepreneurs, business owners, professionals, we don't track our goals. We just kind of see, well, do I have enough money in the bank account? Did I close a deal? Didn't I close a deal? But we don't really track the performance. So you want to get back on track, right? Review those goals and then set up a tracking system. And your first goal, your first objective with this tracking system is to get 1 point, like score something. So if a key element to getting back on track is making phone calls, scheduling meetings, well, keep a little notepad next to you and write down phone calls, and then make a little tick every time you make that phone call reach out, or make a little X check mark every time you schedule an appointment, and just do one thing. That gets you moving in the right direction. Also, I would suggest phone a friend. Call someone and say, hey, I'm working on getting my momentum back up and getting my business back rolling, and I really want to stay on track. Can I call you or send you a text message or an email once a day and just let you know my successes? That's it. They don't have to do anything for you, but by the fact that you're reaching out, you're taking some steps, you're moving forward, and that you're sharing that with somebody will help you to get moving. I also think keeping a daily journal, I call it a daily win journal. At the end of the day, write down your 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, however many wins that you have for the day, but you need at least one. So looking back over the day and saying, okay, what was my win for the day? Have to call one win. And this is a great exercise to get you back on track and to keep you staying positive. And then I think the very final thing, and then I will let you guys go for the day, is to start simple, one thing at a time. All right. If for some reason you've gotten off track with something, all of these quick hints that I've given you are great. But the most important thing is that you just take one action, that you do one thing. Make a simple accomplishment, shoot for a simple win, do one thing. And I always like to keep an eye on, or at least make sure that people that I'm working with understand the power of momentum. Okay, momentum is the most crucial element to your business success, and to your breakthrough success. And momentum doesn't start all at once. You don't just start off and you're in momentum. It starts by one little step. One step, repeated, another step, repeated, another step, repeated, another step. And pretty soon, that one step snowballs and it just keeps picking up. But you've got to stay consistent. Yeah, you've got to stay consistent. It's that one thing that you get to focus on. And if you stay consistent and you're thinking about momentum, I've got to build my momentum. And every time you get off track, thinking, wow, the longer I'm off track, the longer my momentum is going the wrong direction. So that should help you to get started faster each time. So if you've got to go back and begin again, that's fine. Just do it faster each time, right? And the faster you do it each time, the less momentum you lose, okay? So start off with one step. Start off with one thing. Use your daily win journal to record that one thing so that you can celebrate it at the end of the day. Have your friend in place so that you can send them a text message or an email or a phone call and say, here's the one thing that I did, or 3 to 5, 10 things that I did. Have a scorecard so you're tracking your actions. That way it's easier to remember at the end of the day what your success was. Make sure that you're clear about what your goals are so that when you're moving forward, you've got that end picture in mind and you're never losing sight of that, right? Keep your eye on the ball. And then as many times as you can, just begin again. Whenever you're off track, begin again, but do it fast. Don't wait a whole day. Do it fast so that you can keep that momentum going. So with that, there was about 10-ish, I think, 10 or 12 steps and ideas in there. So I hope that you got something out of that will help you to manage all the stuff that you're dealing with. And if you have any other questions, you are more than welcome to shoot me a message. You can find me at the website, www.evocexcellence.com, and you can connect with us there. And I'd love to hear from you. Make it a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon.